Now to NBC5 Investigates. Question for you. If your strawberry Pop-Tarts, for example, also contained pears, would you make a federal case out of it? How about if your favorite actress was cut from a movie or your bottle of apple juice didn't say it contained vitamin C? Would you make a federal case out of that? Well, our NBC5 investigative team has found a man who did that, literally. He's a lawyer who has filed hundreds of these federal cases, including many right here in Chicago. Is he fighting the good fight for consumers or clogging up the court system to make money? Here's Bennett Haeberle.
Yeah, there's been a lot of focus on me.
This is Spencer Sheehan, a Long Island attorney who's filed more than 800 class action lawsuits in a 3-year period, almost always accusing companies of falsely labeling their products. Just last month, Sheehan settled this New York State case against Breyers Ice Cream because it labeled its vanilla ice cream as natural.
Some of it was from fake vanilla, which has no connection to real vanilla.
Breyers admitted no wrongdoing, but agreed to a settlement of nearly $9 million.
Anybody who bought, the Breyers vanilla ice cream is able to be made whole.
According to these court records, about $3 million of that money actually went to Sheehan and other attorneys, which is the typical percentage for attorneys in these cases. NBC5 Investigates found Sheehan has flooded Illinois federal courts with 150 similar class action lawsuits in just 3 years. But unlike the Breyers case, nearly every one was dropped.
We would characterize them largely as abusive.
Oriana Senator pushes for court reform for the U.S. Chamber of Commerce.
The impetus for the case is all driven by the lawyers who, at the end of the day, frankly, make out much better financially than any of the consumers that they are purported to represent.
NBC5 Investigates examined every one of Sheehan's cases in Illinois. We found he claimed more than $5 million in damages because he said these farm-fresh eggs misled buyers into thinking the chickens were perching, scratching, and spreading their wings. In another case, he said these lemon snaps don't contain enough natural lemon. And in yet another case, he and his client claimed that this long grain and wild rice pilaf had too much empty space in the box.
The extent that, somebody might describe such lawsuits as frivolous, well, that's a common refrain that, opponents of consumer empowerment have waved for decades.
Senator says Illinois provides an especially fertile ground for these lawsuits.
We found, not surprisingly, a cottage industry of plaintiffs' lawyers have moved into Illinois and bring these cases, only these cases, because they're so easy to bring and so lucrative given the lack of caps.
But as Sheehan's caseload here has grown, so too has the pushback from some judges. Take this case in which Sheehan claimed damages because this Trident gum shows a drawing of a mint leaf, even though the gum doesn't contain mint. Chicago Judge Lane Johnston threw it out, saying the plaintiff pleads the proverbial kitchen sink, adding spaghetti is best eaten, not thrown at the walls. In another case, Sheehan and his client claimed that this mayonnaise, which is made with olive oil, also has soybean oil. In that case, Chicago federal judge Stephen Seeger wrote, "This has gone round and round the carousel a number of times with plaintiff's counsel. It's time for that carousel to come to a halt." Are you filing so many that you don't keep track?
I don't keep track. I filed probably 15 cases a month for the past 3 or 4 months. I can't tell you how many, but it would be a lot.
Do you see where that could lead someone to say, all right, now we're tying up the pipeline here?
People can say a lot of things. I don't think, that's what the courts are there for.
Ironically, he says he never shops at the grocery store and orders takeout almost every night. A spokesperson for the federal court here in Chicago said the court does not comment on these cases. Just months ago, however, a judge in Florida sanctioned Sheehan, saying, quote, he undeniably acted in bad faith when he filed a lawsuit claiming a bag of coffee advertised too many servings. Sheehan is appealing that. Bennett Haeberle, NBC5 Investigates.